Ladies and gentlemen, let's go. Gaming, tech, culture. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go. You're listening to the Cool Black Nerd Podcast, presented by Say What Radio.
All right, welcome to episode number 26 of the Cool Black Nerd Podcast. This is Iron. I'm your host, Jules. I still don't have a nickname. I'm joined by our co-host, Justice. How are you doing today?
Doing pretty good. This is a nice little holiday. Been a long weekend, so I am making the best of it.
That's what's up. Happy Easter to everyone. I did not have a long weekend. I actually had a discussion with some people about that. Like how, just some holidays are not holidays at certain companies while others are. The company I work for, we have been talking about Easter for a while. It is not a company holiday. However, I think in other ways, my company's a little bit different. Like we get Martin Luther King Day, Juneteenth, so you can't, I don't know. There's give and a take.
Yeah.
Push and a pull or something like that.
I could see that.
So, it's been a long weekend for you. Did you spend any time watching the Synder Cut?
Weekend. I was up day of it coming on. Day of it releasing, watching it before I had to go to a meeting at 8 a.m. So to make sure that I had enough time, I was up at 3.
Oh my. Did you? So you finished it before the meeting?
I finished it before the meeting. Just, honestly, because what happened is Synder Cut was released on HBO Max, and it was such a high demand for it that it actually took down HBO Max for a little bit. Depending on where you were, it came back up relatively quickly. But I think in overseas markets, it was down a lot longer. But by the time that I was trying to watch it, it was up for me. Maybe like a couple little skips that happened in the very beginning, but after that, it was
good to go.
Yeah.
Okay, That's what's up. For those of you who do not know what the Synder Cut is, it is I wouldn't necessarily call it the original version of Justice League. It's definitely a better version. It's a version that fans knew existed. There were some things that happened during the production of the movie, and they ended up switching directors kind of well, I can't really say midstream, but close to the end of the movie. And the new director came in and he made a lot of changes. And
actually, let me cut you off real quick. They had actually finished everything. Filming was done. Everything was done. Editing, all of that had completely been done. The only thing that had not been done is adding in the CGI. Studio did not like the fact that it was a 4-hour movie, period.
Okay.
And unfortunately, at that same time, there were some family issues that had arose for Zack Snyder, and that kind of gave the studio an out to be able to be like, okay, go take some time off, do this and that. And literally within the week of him saying that he's gonna, step away from the project, the studio was like, Josh Whedon is coming in to do this. And at that point in time, Josh Whedon looked at it and made all of the cuts that we saw in the 2017 release, which is...
Oh, well, I can say this. I don't even know if we talked about it on this podcast, but rest assured that the original Justice League movie would have got probably one of our most favorite ratings, and that rating would be trash. It's trash.
Yeah, I forgot that. Cool Black Nerd. If you are a new listener, basically we talk about things that are politics, technology, sometimes a little bit of finance. Well, actually,
I feel like we're talking about that a lot.
Yeah, a little bit of finance, but basically all of the kind of aspects of being a little bit on the nerdier side to, what is considered for a Black person, so to speak. We kind of bring that here and we talk about it, give our opinions on it. But we have the rating system. And as Jules just mentioned, the worst you can get is...
It's trash. It's trash. I don't even think we've ever actually talked about the rating system, but y'all know, if you come in here and something is trash, we're going to let you know that it's hot garbage, trash. And that's what the original Justice League was, along with the most DC movies, but we'll talk about that later. Anyway, back to the Synder Cut.
Crazy though.
Go ahead.
What's so crazy is after the release of the Synder Cut, that 2017 movie is literally considered, or is being called, the Justice League, not Justice League, because it is a complete 180 from what was in the Synder Cut.
Yeah, I think that was the most jarring thing for me, was to realize that, okay, what they added to the Synder Cut was really just CGI. Like I know there had been rumors of reshoots and stuff, but there really weren't any. Like one scene got added at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
For the Snyder Cut. Everything else is stuff that was already there. And it's just mind-boggling to me that they had the Snyder Cut like in the can. It was done.
Mm-hmm.
And what we got, like I don't understand how you got such a garbage movie out of that. Like it was great. The Snyder Cut is great.
It's really insane. I mean, cohesive, unimaginably engaging. I'm sorry. When Endgame came out and people were like, it's 3+ hours, I was like, there's no way you're going to keep my attention that entire time. And they didn't. I'm sorry. I've never gone back to watch Endgame except for certain parts because I know what I want to see.
Uh-huh.
I've seen Endgame that one time. Zack Snyder's Justice League, I've seen almost 3 times. And the reason why I say almost is because I had to go to a meeting and I couldn't finish the third time.
Oh wow!
So
okay, well now I haven't watched it that many times. I've watched it once, and I think that I've gone back and watched like certain parts, like kind of like how you do Endgame.
Yeah,
but to me, both of those movies, Endgame and Justice League, needed to be that long. I think Justice League, I know we talked about it a little bit. I felt like you could have cut maybe 30 minutes from it and it still would be great. But I also see why it needed to be 4 hours. And it's because DC didn't spend any time building these characters. And that's what the Snyder Cut does. Like you take a good amount of time, like at least for the characters that you're not already familiar with. So you don't spend too much time with Superman, Batman, or Wonder Woman, but Cyborg, you definitely need to know a little bit more about Cyborg because he's never been in any movie. The Flash, you needed to know more about the Flash because he hadn't been in any movie. Aquaman, you need to know more about him because even though his movie did come out at the time Justice League came out, his movie hadn't come out yet.
Actually, this again is 2017. So the way I see it, the Aquaman came out, I think it was 2018. But what we got in the Zack Snyder's Justice, I'm gonna call it ZSJL. That's basically what it is.
You don't remember all that. I mean, good luck.
But I'm not gonna say that. But that's what it's being called. It's like having a stock symbol at this point.
Shit.
You'll see that in articles on different places. But for Zack Snyder's Justice League, had it been released the way it is, that'd have been Endgame, and Endgame wouldn't have been as big of a deal at that point. You see what I mean? Because Endgame ended up being kind of like the culmination of all that stuff. If they'd have released they'd have been like, oh, they're copying Justice League, which is crazy. DC could have actually had a leg up at that point.
That's tough. That's a rough one. I feel like Marvel's universe is better. But just for that, I'll put it this way. I think the Snyder Cut would have been a great place to start instead of Batman versus Superman for Justice League. And it's unfortunate because, Wonder Woman was great. It was a really good movie. And that Justice League movie kind of just ruined that. Like that was that goodwill that they built up. It was just gone.
Yeah. Well, actually, Justice League came out after. I'm sorry, Wonder Woman came out after Justice League.
It did?
So, yeah. So it kind of set the course to make it a little bit better because that was such trash, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm sorry, but you went from that Batman v Superman to Justice League, right? Yeah, that was just bad. It was just bad. Like, imagine if you go from. Well, shit, I don't even know. Like,
yeah,
I'm trying to compare it to some Marvel, but I was like, nah,
well, no.
They haven't done
So
anything
you went
that's
from
horrible.
No, okay. I don't know if anybody has actually seen it. I think we talked about it a couple times, but there were some horrible Marvel movies that were created back in the 90s that were done for just money. And it's like the Fantastic Four, not the ones with Jessica Alba and a few other people. These are they're completely trash movies, but they were released because people had the rights to them. And that's honestly just it. If they went from that to then doing Iron Man and then back to doing those, that is the equivalent of what they did for for DC. It was just insane. It's just like, ooh, Iron Man, ooh, and then you go back to the trash. Just, what are y'all doing? Why?
I
Because
don't know.
I rewatched Man of Steel, which is the first one that came out, and I had not seen Man of Steel since it was released in 2012, and I was just like, this was actually a good movie. It was, again, engaging. It kept you going. The flow was good, and it wasn't just completely. It wasn't a bullshit movie. I really think it was well written, had good action scenes and things like that. I understand that people didn't like that Superman took out Zod, but I don't know where they've been. That's what happened when Christopher Reeve was doing all that, but it wasn't well received. Then they went Batman versus Superman, which they should not have done. They really shouldn't have done. Then they went Justice League. Then you had Wonder Woman. And then they started to see maybe we did some wrong things. And unfortunately, it was just too much.
Too late.
Yeah.
Like, imagine this though. Like, imagine where they would be if you had. Okay, Batman versus Superman was garbage. Okay, fine. I'm not saying they could go back on that one. But imagine if they come out with the Snyder Cut for Justice League. It's fucking amazing. Then you come out with Wonder Woman. It's fucking amazing.
Ooh.
Come out with Aquaman. It's not great, but it's good.
Yeah. And Shazam.
Then you come out with Shazam, which is fucking great. Imagine where they would be now, but nope. Now instead we got Wonder Woman 1984, and now we got the Snyder Cut now, and it's just like, look at what you could have done.
Yeah, look at
what did you do? Why did you do this?
Yep.
Look at where you could have been.
Yep.
So I don't know.
You could have been a contender.
We'll see what DC does, man. And I'll say this too about the Superman movie you were just talking about.
Man of Steel.
For me, Man of Steel. It maybe was not a bad movie, but it wasn't like a great movie or a good movie to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm of the mindset that you probably really can't have a Superman movie be a good movie, where it's just Superman, because he's powerful. He's too powerful. Yeah, like there's no.
I get that. I know you said that before.
There's no sense of Superman is going. Like he could even, like, you watch a superhero movie, the superheroes are going to win. Mm-hmm. But with Superman, you just like all of this that the villain is doing, it don't matter at all. Like there's nothing, there will be no consequences and repercussions of this at all.
Mm-hmm.
And that, that plays out for the most part. And like the way the Snyder Cut handles Superman, I think is the way you have to do it. It's like, he comes in to save the day at the end, and he kind of does, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they fail because it's just literally nothing that he could have done. Like just the way the circumstances played out. Like it had to even be a team effort. Won, he lost.
Yeah. It had to actually get it done. It had to be a team effort.
It had to be everybody.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's how I think that's how you had to do Superman.
Well, the reason why I say that Man of Steel is actually better, because to me, they did do it the best way that they could for him. As you said, he's being so powerful. Man of Steel takes it to where he's still learning his powers. He's still learning the balance that he has to go through with, being in the human world, but not even really necessarily knowing how to be a Kryptonian and not seem like, okay, I'm going to kill everybody, but I need to kill this dude. To me, that was a very delicate balance that was done within the movie that did work. And since it was the initial one, I thought it did it very well. And again, as I said, going back to watch the movie before I saw the Snyder Cut, all of that actually made more sense, because there's stuff in the Snyder Cut that plays back into Man of Steel and also kind of plays back into Batman versus Superman. But you didn't need to see Batman versus Superman to understand or even know about that. So it wasn't like it was necessary.
Well, actually, the intro to the movie was Batman. Like you got that's how you know it was a garbage movie. You got the whole story of Batman versus Superman in the 30-second title intro.
That's very
to
true.
The Snyder Cut.
Very true. I forgot about that.
Did Zack Snyder do Batman versus Superman? Who was that?
He did Batman versus Superman and Man of Steel.
Okay, I probably wouldn't have trusted him either. I'd have been like, I don't know, bro.
I see what you mean.
We gonna switch it up a little bit just in case. I don't know.
And I think that's why they were like that. And, by the time that he had gotten to Justice League, and he was like, okay, here it is, and it's 4 hours. They was like, oh, this muff.
Oh, you just did Batman versus Superman. You got 4 hours? Nah. Wait, who's? Give me the man who's doing Marvel. Come over here, Joss Whedon.
And unfortunately, they did. and it did not work out well for him because you can't. It's kind of like, if you guys are on the saywhatradio.com website, we've been adding in some pretty good articles about certain things, and I love for you guys go take a look, give your opinion on them, leave comments, things like that. But one of the latest articles that we published is called is an anti-California dream, and it's basically the mass exodus of companies and kind of like tech people, so to speak, from California to Texas. And one of the lines within it is called "Don't California My Texas." So it would be the same thing here. Don't marvel the DC, because it just did not work. They had all this dire consequences type stuff within it, and then very, very weirdly funny stuff, or trying to be funny stuff in the Justice League. Because I like the Flash, he was just supposed to be this comic relief type stuff in it, and it didn't work.
Yeah, it was just a lot of stuff wrong with that movie, and I mean, I don't want to blame it entirely on Joss Whedon, because he did come in like to a finished movie, and they were like, "All right, we need you to cut 2 hours and make it make sense." And I don't.
But okay. So that's where we're going to disagree on that. I do blame it on him, because he did go ahead and take a look at it and see the movie and saw it made sense, and then basically cut it to where it didn't, and knew that.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, they brought me in to do the job. I'm gonna do the job. I might not agree with it, or I mean, maybe he did. I don't know. I just know that they should. You had 4 hours of a great movie, and you cut out 2 hours and made it
trash,
and added back 15 minutes of garbage. I don't know.
Another thing we have to talk about, unfortunately, is kind of like the allegations that started to come out.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's
the movie,
yeah,
regarding Joss Whedon's set.
Can't give him any credit on that one. That's on him.
Yeah. So after he had already done this or whatnot, he called people back in for reshoots and things like that. And I didn't even know some of these, but it came out after the Snyder Cut. Well, they were out before, but I think they were kind of suppressed by either the studio or maybe Joss Whedon's people. I'm not going to allege any of that. I'm going to just say that this stuff has now come out, and I became aware of it after the Snyder Cut.
Okay.
So, of course, Ray Fisher, who plays Cyborg, Jesus, that man, he actually came to the studio and, made allegations, and not necessarily a lawsuit, but kind of like complaints, which would be the equivalent of you going to HR and be like, I'm not comfortable with this person. But there's an investigation afterwards that he made a hostile working environment. And this wasn't the first time that people had levied this claim against him. Even in, far back as working on Buffy the Vampire Slayer and other projects that he's worked on, people had said that he was not the best to work with. He would bully or be very much, how should I say this? He would basically do the power dynamic. He knew that he held the power, and it was like, what are you going to do about it type thing.
Yeah.
So Ray Fisher basically said that that's what he did on this set, which would make sense as to why you don't see Ray Fisher that much in his movie.
In the movie, yeah.
And he is a central character to it in the Snyder Cut.
Yeah, in the Snyder Cut, he's probably the most important character. I mean, you could even see, like, looking at this movie, you could see how they were, one, really like building up the Justice League in general, and then two, setting it up so that you could move away from Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman.
Yes.
In the future.
Yeah. And focus on them as a team. Yeah.
And this just came to me as I'm talking about Superman. I feel like you can't really have him lead a movie. I think that would have been a better way to go, just because the stories that you have for Batman, Superman, and even Wonder Woman to a certain extent, it's like, their backstory is, you're going to get pushed back if you try to change that backstory to make it more compelling. And I think the other superheroes, you have so much more room to play with to really be able to tell a better story.
Yeah.
Because nobody really has expectations for Cyborg. Like, you don't have expectations for what a Cyborg story is. Like, you don't know what his origin story is. You don't know his motivations and whatever stuff like that. Like,
unless
Superman,
you're a hardcore.
Unless you're
DC.
hardcore, yeah. Like, Superman is quintessential American hero. He can't lose. Everything he does is good. Like, there's nothing about him that's not good. You know what I mean? Wonder Woman, she's Wonder Woman. She has the lasso of truth. She's all about truth and honesty and goodness all the time. And she's not going to make any mistakes. And when she does make mistakes, it's like cotton
She's
candy and apple pie mistakes. Like it's not.
yeah, that's.
And I mean,
God.
Batman, you can definitely go dark with Batman. Unfortunately, we've seen it. And I don't know how many times you can put out The Dark Knight before people say, hey, man, I've had enough. So, I don't know, man. Zack Snyder had him going in a good direction after Batman v Superman was garbage.
Yeah, he very much did. I just really think it was an ego thing. Now, this is my opinion on Josh Whedon's part. I really do. Because you can't look at that and go like, man, and not go to the studio and be like, hey, this really is a cohesive, idea. It really, really is.
You got a good movie here.
Yeah. There's really no way that you, as an artist, as a director, as someone who has a passion for filmmaking or for being a visionary in this genre, there's really no way that you could sit there and do that and say that what I gave you is better. You really can't. I have a hard time seeing that, especially in some of the reshot scenes, like the family of Flash, Dostoevsky. That
Oh yeah, at the end.
Yeah, that didn't make sense. Him running against Superman, that shot back to the comics again, but it didn't make sense. Henry Cavill's mustache didn't make sense. There's one scene that was so offensive to Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman, that she said, "I'm not filming it, period." And they filmed it with a body double.
Yeah.
Come on, dude. There's no way. There's no way that the studio wasn't like, well, we got a better one. You see what I'm saying?
To me, it's so it's that like the difference is so extreme that I feel like I'm like I feel like he couldn't have done that. I honestly feel like the studio was like, hey man,
really,
we can't have a 4-hour movie.
I got
so
you.
You're gonna have to do something.
I got you.
Because I honestly, I mean, I really do feel like if it wasn't just about the length, then they would have just put it out. Like, okay, Zach is having some family issues. Let's just do this CGI, which we normally do trash anyway, and just put the movie out. And it ain't like I don't need the director to tell me how to make trash CGI.
I can't stand you.
I mean, CGI DC movies is trash, although the Snyder Cut is really good. But they had, in fairness, he had much more time this time, and he knows the CGI is usually trash.
This is the thing that kind of messes me up. They actually had more money for the CGI in the Joss Whedon cut. They had a lot less money for the CGI for this, and it was done by a completely design house. So I'm not sure if everybody knows that, but when it comes to CGI in movies, videos, or actually in any type of creative genre, it is usually kind of farmed out by a firm or a house that is, Industrial Light and Magic. For, if I'm not mistaken, they did like The Hobbit and Jurassic Park back in the day. There are some well-known players. Light and
Magic, the company behind family favorites such as Star Wars.
The
original Star Wars.
They've been doing it for years. There are some really good places, really good firms, but it depends on what you're looking for and what you want. Now, if you want to CGI out a mustache and you only have 4 weeks to do that, you are asking too much. They can make some amazing stuff, but if you want this done in a crunch time frame, it's not going to get done. But again, I think that one, because the Snyder Cut had such low expectations and they were allotted a lot more time, I think that was why the CGI was a lot better. And two, because things like Steppenwolf got hammered much in the first one. They were like, okay, let's go back to the original way, similar to what he looks like in the comic books, and not do whatever they did
for that first one, because that was horrible.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm not even gonna shoot him credit on because even Shazam, which is a great movie, to me the CGI was still
goofy.
Poop.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just so. I just hope that in the future they do better.
Yeah.
I don't know what DC movie is next. I'm still not expecting much from that because I'm sure it was done before the Snyder Cut received all of this goodwill and adoration. So it'll probably be poop. But after that, I got expectations now.
Well, according to them, they keep saying that the Snyderverse is done. They're not doing anything else. That's the direction they're not going to go. But kind of what you said, with all of the, great critical reviews from not only, critics and audiences, I'm pretty sure they're probably second guessing themselves, but it will kind of boil down to numbers and subscribers that they got for the HBO Max and whether or not they're able to keep them. So if this is something that they do where they're able to kind of pivot to where this keeps people on the HBO Max, where they have Marvel is coming from the big screen to the small screen with the MCU. But if they do it backwards, where we are keeping you on the small screen and then maybe branch out to the big screen a little later, will that work out for them? But
I don't know.
They have a chance to do it right now because, like I said, they got a lot of goodwill right now. But they're saying, "Oh no, this isn't what we're going to do." But I think once they start seeing this in monetary value and subscribers,
I'm actually, I'm actually okay with them not doing the Snyderverse, but just the way that the movies get made, you need to change what you do. Just the type of stories you intend to tell need to be different somehow, and the way that you tell them, because what you're doing now is not good.
Yeah. Okay. And we haven't really gone into the plot of the movie, but spoilers, if you haven't seen it by now, it's kind of your fault. Jules always says it. If you haven't seen it by now and you come and listen to us, it's your fault.
You had some time.
So if you are doing this, they have where right now, if you did want to do more Snyderverse movies, it could be a great trilogy. Because it did end on a cliffhanger where you could go into Justice League 2, Justice League 3, and even a setup that hasn't been explored yet in movies, so to speak, Injustice, which started off as a video game and then became a comic book because the story was so compelling. Man, I think that kind of goes into what you were saying, where it would be a great tale for storytelling. You could pivot and do better stories. So
it was a great place to start. And I don't know. And maybe that's just what I've been looking for from them, like a place for them to start over. Because I know a lot of people didn't like that Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix. But even that would have been a better place to start than Justice League, what the original Justice League was, or even Batman versus Superman. So I don't know. I really hope, just take the chance to reboot. I think I said the same thing about Shazam. Like, okay, throw everything else in the trash and just start from Shazam. Like, you need to start over, and I hope they do that. I know that they got somebody else to be Batman other than Ben Affleck, which is good. I mean, Henry Cavill is cool as Superman, but that is Superman, so whatever.
Just so biased against that man.
I mean, it's to me, it's just unfortunately, it's the nature of his character. He's like the first, like, super popular superhero, and the way that his character is just he doesn't have any interesting stories, and they're not going to be interesting because there's no stakes for Superman. Like, there's no great risk for Superman. Like, think about the biggest. And I think I'm about to touch on that for you right now. So I was just about to say, think about the biggest Superman comic. It's the one where he died. But guess what? Did he die? No,
they do have some, and it mainly kind of touches on the villains that he has. And you're right, they don't bring those up, and I think it's just mainly because they don't know how to bring that story to the big screen and then not seem.
Well, see, that's the thing, though. Like, so the interesting stuff about Superman is his villains. Like, it's not him. That's what true. I mean. Like, he can't but
that's
be the focal point of your movie. I don't think so. Like, I think with, like, let's look at the Marvel movies. Like, you look at Tony Stark. Tony Stark is a hero, but he's also really fucked up.
They don't go into that, though. They touch on it, but they don't go. They touch on it, but they don't go into it.
They go into it enough, though. Like, when Wanda gives him the vision, and it's like he's trying to figure out whether he needs to protect the world, like the things that he's doing. Like, do I put a suit of iron around the world, and what does that actually mean? Like, with Superman, it's just like
they did that with him.
I'm just gonna save it. I'm just gonna save it, and it's done.
Nah, they did that with him in Man of Steel. It was just like, do I actually show myself, or do I just kind of stay in the shadows so that nobody actually wants to put me in a cage and study me and stuff like that. His dad was telling him, all he's like, people aren't going to understand you, so don't even try. So there were stakes like that for him there. They touched on it in Man of Steel. Tony Stark, I think they could have delved into it a little bit more. But again, I think they did the same amount of touching. That sounds bad to say, but they, they did the same amount of trying to do that storyline of being compelling for that particular superhero. I think that's my opinion, though.
Yeah, okay. If they did, for me, it didn't work. Where with the Marvel characters, it works.
Yeah, but I think for you, it's just because you're biased against him now. I get it. I completely get it. But I was a little bit more open to it. And like I said, for the Man of Steel, when I went back and watched it, I was like, damn, I did not remember this in there. I didn't think it was a bad movie when I saw it in the theaters, but it was just like when I saw it again now, 9 years later, I was like, this really isn't, this is a good movie. I was surprised. But again, hindsight is 2020. But
I don't know,
strokes
man.
for different folks.
I don't know. Maybe they got to spend more time building up that character because I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
I just don't know how you do that with Superman. Speaking of Marvel, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier is out, and it came out a couple of days after Snyder Cut, right?
Yep, and a lot of people were saying that is how they were able to gauge that this was getting more traction than Marvel was, which was the first time ever, honestly, because there were more eyes on the Snyder Cut than there were on the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, just from ratings, household viewership, which was crazy. But this is a different ballgame.
I don't think it's that crazy. I would have expected that.
Why?
Because the Snyder Cut has been hyped up for 4 years. I mean, it lived up to the hype, but it's been hyped up for 4 years, however many years.
But the reason why I say that is because there was no, kind of like what you're saying, there was no stakes. Everybody already thought that the first one was trash. So why would you even tune in for it? Yet Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Marvel hadn't had any real hiccups at that point. So to me, that was kind of a loss on their part. It was like,
would you say Falcon and Winter Soldier has been a hiccup?
No. I said they haven't had any hiccups. So
yeah, but I'm saying
Justice League was a hiccup.
Though.
What I mean is Justice League was a hiccup for DC. So to sit there and have where you had a trash ass movie 4 years ago for people to actually give that more time and effort than they did Falcon and the Winter Soldier, to me says something's a little bit off to me for Marvel.
I disagree. And it's just because, like I said, the Snyder Cut has been hyped up for like the moment the original Justice League came out, people been asking for the Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
And I don't think that I don't. You can. To me, you can't even. You couldn't have expected for honestly a TV show to have the same amount of viewership as the Snyder Cut, especially the first week that it came out.
For 4 hours,
like I'm getting a 4-hour movie versus the first episode of a series.
Yeah,
I don't think that you could expect it to. You could have expected that the Snyder Cut would have gotten more views.
To me, that it says the opposite. So I'm sitting here watching a movie that I know 4 years ago I didn't give a damn about because it was trash. Yet Marvel has continuously put out great stuff. I would rather watch the sure bet. But to me, right now, the fact that people took a gamble on the Snyder Cut for no other reason, and it wasn't that much hyped up. It was just, core fan base that was hyping it up. A lot of people was just like, I could care less. But once you got to see it and word of mouth hit it, the fact that it overtook Falcon and the Winter Soldier to me says a lot. That's just my opinion on it.
Yeah, I don't know. All I can do is say I disagree.
Yeah, I get it.
I think the Falcon and Winter Soldier is actually a pretty good show, though. I don't know. The first episode, I thought it was very okay. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to say the reason that I thought it was okay is because I had several people telling me, like, after I've watched the Snyder Cut, I had a lot of people saying, oh, then wait until you see the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, though. Nah. And I was like, and after watching it, I was like, okay, this was good, but it ain't. Mm-hmm. Come on, man. It's not a 4-hour movie. Like, what are we talking about?
Ain't no granny goodness in this. No, I'm just playing. I was very much in the same thing. I love the action sequences. I love the setup of them going back and, bringing up Bucky and Sam and stuff like that. I was pretty much going like, well, okay, though. And even in the subsequent episodes, I've still kind of been like that. I will say this. I love the banter between the two of them. I love that. Yeah. Some of these, it's It's the triple whatever it was. I'm going to say the aliens, androids, and wizards. It's not a thing. It is a thing. Is it?
Oh
But
yeah, and it was
I
like,
love that.
well, Doctor Strange. He was like, no, he's a sorcerer. He's like a sorcerer, is a wizard without a hat.
I was like, this is very cute. It's very, very
Yeah, that
cute.
is pretty funny. I don't know. I think it's a pretty good show. I think it. I like how it's like a action sitcom.
Yeah. Yes.
If
Whereas
that even makes sense. That to me is
it
pretty good.
does. Whereas WandaVision would have hints of that. WandaVision was just mainly more action. I would say it's drama and action. There would be hints of kind of like the comedy within it. I just like this more. I like this formula a little bit better than I did WandaVision.
I want to know where they're ultimately going to go with these TV shows.
Me too.
I think so far they've been really good. WandaVision to me was good. Falcon and Winter Soldier looks like it's going to be really good. I'm interested in Loki now more than I was before. But I want to see how, like, because to me, at least it was my understanding that all of this was supposed to kind of tie into the movies. And of course, the movies they have been delayed and switched around beyond recognition. So I'm just curious how this stuff fits now. Like, what are because it's Marvel, and so it's like there's little clues and stuff that we're probably missing right now, or just even little references or Easter eggs that probably would have made sense if the movie had come out when it was supposed to.
Yeah, I got you.
So I'm very curious about like what are the little things that we're missing, because they won't just put Black Widow on Disney Plus. Just put the movie out.
I thought they were going to do that. They're not. They're not going to do that?
No, they still like, nah, we're not putting, they're like, none of the Marvel movies are doing that Disney Plus thing.
Oh, okay.
For now.
Okay.
And I mean, they keep having to push everything back. Like, I think you're going to get to a point where it's just like, you really don't have a choice.
Wait.
What?
Go ahead. Looking at IndieWire, Disney movie Black Widow releasing in July in movies and Disney Plus. This is as of March 23rd, 2021. Okay. So Disney is modifying.
So maybe that's when they changed it then, because up until March 23rd, they were saying it's not going to Disney Plus.
I think you're right. They may have them a little scared, Jules. So
it's not even about being scared. It's just like put the damn movie out.
Let me go ahead and read what it has here. Disney is modifying its release strategy again for the upcoming Marvel Cinematic Universe entry, Black Widow. The film will open in theaters on July 9th, but will also launch on the studio's streaming service, Disney Plus, on the same day. Disney has launched recent tentpoles such as Soul, Raya and the Last Dragon, and Mulan in a similar fashion, and the latter two falling under the Premier Access banner, where it costs an additional $29.99 to purchase the new release. Black Widow will also fall under this Premier Access title. The MCU tentpole was originally set to open May 2020, but pandemic pushed it back, of course. So it will be in July that it actually July 9th.
So you could have put Black Widow out a long time ago on Disney Plus. And I mean, I have to say, let's be honest. I don't think people are going to be as excited for Black Widow as they are for many of the other Marvel movies. Yeah. I think it would have been perfectly fine for you to put that movie on Disney Plus for $29.99, just like you did with Mulan, which, turned out to not be great.
What was the rating on that one? No. I mean, the Cool Black Nerd rating for Mulan. What was that? I don't remember. It wasn't trash.
It was
It was an Okay. Just want to make sure.
So, okay, I guess we have 3 ratings now. We have trash, and great. It was all right.
Okay.
I'm glad I waited until it wasn't $29.99 to watch it.
But I think I think you're right. Had they done that in the beginning, they'd have been seen as more player in this. They're still, no matter what, people are signing up for Disney Plus left and right, but they're kind of now following the trend. Whereas you had HBO Max and other streaming platforms doing this exact same thing, where HBO Max started it off with Wonder Woman 1984, and it still did relatively good in the movies and on the streaming service. Also, upcoming titles like Doom, Matrix 4 Mortal Kombat.
Godzilla versus Kong.
Godzilla versus Kong just got released, and it was the same thing, and it's still doing well. Judas and the Black Messiah was another one that did really well on the streaming service and in the movies. So
it's to me, it's a strategy that works. They should have done it a long time ago. Yep. They should have even just, and I'm saying it just because, like I said, I'm not sure that the Black Widow movie is probably just going to be the least popular just off the top.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And you know, I don't, and that's not saying like I don't know that I really don't even know if it can be a good movie, but we'll see.
And I think I can kind of articulate as to why you say that. The character's already dead. We know what happens to her.
Yeah.
We're not invested in her anymore. So yeah, I get what you're saying.
The movie should have come out a long time ago.
Yeah. The one that I think will do really, really well is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, just because it's a new genre, new direction and everything for him. So I think that's really it's going to be.
I anticipate that one to end up being just as popular, if not more so, than Black Panther.
Yeah, same thing.
For obvious reasons. Then I'm gonna just say it that way. Just like I managed to see Black Panther in the movie theater 8 times, I'm sure there will be people that also see that movie 8 times. Yep. I will probably see it 4 or 5 if it's good. Let's go ahead and call this one an episode, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening to the Cool Black Nerd Podcast. Again, check us out on social media. Always go check out saywhatradio.com. There are several podcasts in our network that I think everybody would enjoy and love and just have a great time listening to.
Always. We out.